system works.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, call me right now.
Tonight, the new fallout after we learned the president reportedly ordered Robert Mueller fired. The White House counsel would not do it. When did the president ask for this? Even Republicans tonight on the Hill reacting. And what does this mean as the special counsel investigates any possible obstruction of justice? Also breaking today, the deadly plot. What was overheard by fellow students, authorities racing to a student's home, and what they then discovered. Late today, news on this deadly flu epidemic coming in, what the CDC has now revealed about baby boomers. And if you're caring for someone with the flu, should you be on Tamiflu as well? The entire board at USA Gymnastics resigning tonight, and right here, nearly 20 survivors, Olympic gymnasts, with our Elizabeth Vargas, and what they're now demanding. And the new scandal breaking in Las Vegas tonight, the man behind one of the most famous casinos and resorts, what he's accused of doing to female employees, some reportedly hiding in closets and bathrooms to avoid him, and what he's saying tonight.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Friday night, and we begin with President Trump reportedly ordering the special counsel Robert Mueller be fired. The White House counsel refusing to do this last June. President Trump returning tonight from Davos, and serious questions await here at home about why he moved to fire Robert Mueller. The president tonight denying the claim, but the New York Times breaking this story, and outlets from the Washington Post to Fox News to our team confirming the president did want Mueller out. ABC's chief White House correspondent Jonathan Karl leading us off.
Appearing before a gathering in Davos, Switzerland, of some of the world's richest and most powerful, the president took credit for an American comeback.
America is open for business, and we are competitive once again.
But his message was overshadowed by news back home, a report first in the New York Times that last summer he had sought to fire special counsel Robert Mueller.
Fake news, folks, fake news.
What's your message today?
Typical New York Times fake stories.
A presidential denial, but a story confirmed by ABC News that the president sought to have Mueller dismissed in June, just 1 month after he was appointed to the job. So why didn't it happen? According to the Times, White House counsel Don McGahn refused to ask the Justice Department to carry out the president's wishes, even threatening to quit himself. The president's desire to push Mueller aside wasn't exactly a secret. At the time, Chris Ruddy, a longtime friend of the president's, went public warning him not to do it.
I think he's considering perhaps terminating the special counsel. I think he's weighing that option. I personally think it would be a very significant mistake.
But a couple months later, Trump denied even thinking about firing Mueller.
I haven't given it any thought.
And some of the president's top aides denied it too.
He's not discussed firing Bob Mueller.
The New York Times reports Trump even had come up with a rationale for firing Mueller, a list of 3 alleged conflicts of interest, including the fact that Mueller had come to the White House the day before he was named special counsel to talk to the president about returning to his old job of FBI director. Over the summer, the president fumed about that in an interview.
Mueller wanted the job. I said, what the hell is this all about? Talk about conflicts. But he was interviewing for the job.
Tonight at the White House, the president's lawyers remain mum, leaving it to the president alone to deny the story. But the New York Times reports there's one person who's known about it for months, Robert Mueller himself.
So let's get to John Karl with us live from the White House. And John, tonight, Democrats in Congress are pushing for legislation that would prevent the president from firing the special counsel. And this evening, we're learning that even a leading Republican, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, says he's open to it.
The Judiciary Chairman, Republican Chuck Grassley, did say that, and he also said the president and everyone else ought to let Mueller do his job and get through this investigation. But while Grassley said he is open to this bill or a bill protecting Mueller, he also said he is encouraged that the president appears to be fully cooperating with the special counsel.
All right, John Karl leading us off on a Friday night. John, thank you. We do have one more question on this tonight. Let's get right to ABC News chief legal analyst Dan Abrams, who's with us here. And when you hear the president moving to fire the special counsel, Dan, how significant is this?
Well, look, if it's determined that the purpose of it was to end the investigation, that could be a piece in a possible obstruction of justice case. Because remember, the intent is what matters there. But it's also important to remember how much of a bigger deal it would have been to fire Robert Mueller than to fire James Comey. James Comey, as the head of the FBI, effectively works for the president. The special counsel is supposed to be independent. There is a specific process that has to occur before the special counsel could be fired, and it involves the attorney general and not the president firing him. Didn't happen.
Had this gone through, it would have been much bigger than Comey,
Yeah.
you say. Dan Abrams with us tonight. Dan, thank you. We do have a lot of other news developing this Friday night. First, the deadly flu and the new and alarming numbers coming in from the CDC tonight. Among the worst flu season in a decade, and it hasn't peaked yet. 39 states now reporting high flu activity. 7 more children lost last week alone. 37 children dying so far this season. But tonight, another age group making news because of how hard this is hitting this year, baby boomers. And what about the caretakers? If you're caring for someone with the flu, should you get Tamiflu as well? Here's ABC's Lindsay Janis tonight.
Tonight, 37-year-old mother Carly Ilg-Slavin from Indiana, one of the flu epidemic's latest victims. Her father says she'd been taking care of her husband and children who had the virus when she started feeling sick.
My wife called and said, "Get over here right away." They put her in ICU. She's in critical condition.
He says she died just 3 days after testing positive for the flu.
We all were there standing around her, and she left about 6:30 in the morning.
Carly's story highlighting the danger to caregivers and others at home. Tonight, the CDC recommending that some people at a higher risk take a preventative dose of Tamiflu, even if they don't have the flu, a step that could cut their chances of getting the virus by up to an estimated 80%.
If there are infections in the household and you're concerned about an older individual in the home, talk with your doctor and see if the prophylactic medicines are something that would be useful.
Across the country, nearly 12,000 flu patients so sick they've had to be hospitalized. The CDC says the number of children reported to have died from the flu this season has climbed to 37. 12-year-old Dylan Winnick's family says he had a fever on Monday and died on Tuesday.
Shocking. You get a call that he's passed. How the hell does that happen?
David, something unique this year. The CDC says hospitalization rates for people between the ages of 50 and 64 are higher than for the very young. It's usually the other way around. The hardest hit group of people still those 65 and older. David?
All right, so seniors, children, and this year the baby boomers too. Lindsay, our thanks to you. And about that point you heard from Lindsay, their caretakers, caring for loved ones with the flu. Should they be taking Tamiflu as well? Let's dig into this with Dr. Ashton. Jen's here tonight. And Jen, I know that your daughter has the flu at home. We wish her a speedy recovery along with everyone at home dealing with this. But this notion about Tamiflu, you were mentioning that you were on it. Obviously, you're a doctor. It's easier to get. But it's really important for people to consider this at home.
Exactly. And I also treat pregnant women. But in general, the vulnerable high-risk groups that should consider Tamiflu as a prophylactic measure to reduce their risk of getting sick if they've had direct contact. High-risk groups include people over the age of 65, anyone with chronic medical condition like asthma, pregnant women, or anyone with a weakened immune system. Those are the vulnerable groups.
And in the meantime, Jen, we'd heard for years that you have to be on Tamiflu within 48 hours of symptoms, but you've learned something else now.
That's really the old thinking. There was that firm line in the sand about the 48-hour mark. Now there's new data that suggests that even after the first 48 hours of symptoms, antiviral medications like Tamiflu can be helpful. So that should not be a reason to withhold treatment.
All right, Dr. Ashton with us as well. Jen, thank you. Tonight, we've also learned of an alleged school shooting plot that has now been thwarted after a student overheard a conversation on the school bus and then reported it. Police then racing to a student's home, and tonight, what they have discovered. Here's ABC's Gio Benitez.
Tonight, a quick-thinking teen is being hailed as a hero for preventing a possible shooting at this school near Pittsburgh.
Had they not reported this, there could have been a major catastrophe today at Uniontown High School.
The teen overhearing a 14-year-old classmate on the bus allegedly talking about plans to shoot 4 students today at Uniontown High School in Pennsylvania, recording the conversation and contacting police.
That student overheard it and took appropriate action right on the bus.
Within hours, police searching the suspect's bedroom, finding an arsenal of weapons. 3 rifles, including a semi-automatic, a shotgun, 2 machetes, throwing knives, a revolver, a crossbow, and ammunition for it all. Other students posting these videos, extra security measures causing crowding outside the school, the principal keeping them updated.
As a result of the investigation, the student was apprehended.
The alleged motive?
He just didn't like him. That's what he said. He didn't like them. What a reason to do something.
And David, tonight the teen is facing multiple charges, including unlawful weapons possession and making terroristic threats. David?
Gio Benitez with us tonight. Thanks, Gio. Next this evening to major new fallout today after the sentencing of former gymnastics team doctor Larry Nassar. Tonight, the entire board of USA Gymnastics announcing they will resign. And this evening, nearly 20 victims in one room with our Elizabeth Vargas. What they're now demanding.
They call themselves Sister Survivors, more than 150 accusers telling their stories and putting Larry Nassar in prison for the rest of his life.
Do you think that Larry Nassar got what he deserved?
Yes. I sat down with 19 of Nassar's accusers, all of them telling me that more needs to be done.
Show of hands, how many of you think justice still needs to be done? To who? What about USA Gymnastics? They've already stripped the Caroli Ranch of any status as a training center. Is that enough?
They should have done that a long time ago.
Authorities in Texas tell ABC there's now an investigation of the Caroli Ranch run by husband and wife team Bella and Marta Caroli, an isolated training compound for the women's gymnastics team. 2010 national champion Maddie Larson says Nassar abused her at the ranch and that she once smashed her head against a bathroom floor to avoid going back into the toxic environment at the ranch.
I was willing to physically hurt myself to get out of the abuse that I received at the ranch.
The powerhouse pair who shot to fame coaching all-time greats like Nadia Comaneci and Carrie Strug have not been charged with any crime and have not been accused of knowing about the abuse. Last week, USA Gymnastics severed ties with the ranch. Today, some of Nassar's victims told me they wouldn't let their daughters anywhere near the sport.
I know some of you are moms. Show of hands, how many of you would allow your daughter to go into gymnastics if she said that's what I want to do?
These women want to make sure nothing like this happens to another child.
A part of me is still trying to forgive myself for being so naive.
There's nothing to forgive.
I know. I just wish I could be me and go back in time and talk to me at that age.
What would you say?
I would just hug me and say, it's gonna be okay, and talk to someone.
And my 2020 partner, Elizabeth Vargas, with us now. And, one of the things, Elizabeth, that struck me is that so many of these parents said they were actually in the room when Larry Nassar was committing his abuse because parents across the country put so much faith in coaches and in these doctors. What are they to do?
Well, especially this doctor, because he was the Olympic doctor. Many of these gymnasts and their parents felt they were lucky to be able to get the chance to see him. He would block the parents' view if they were in the room, but most of the times these girls were alone with these coaches. One parent told me in a heartbreaking interview that we aired tonight that she felt, quote, dumb and stupid when she found out what was going on. The gymnasts and at least one gymnastics coach thought what Larry was doing was a real medical procedure.
Well, it ends now and the conversation begins tonight. Elizabeth, thank you. And again, Elizabeth and nearly 20 brave survivors out to protect the next generation of gymnasts and athletes. A special edition of 2020 Sister Survivors. That's 10 p.m. Eastern. Elizabeth and I hope to see you a little later tonight. In the meantime, the stock market ending the week at a record new high. The Dow closing at 26,616 points, up just under 224 points on strong corporate earnings. That surged despite a softer fourth quarter GDP report, the economy growing a slower 2.6%. Analysts had expected about 3%. There is still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Friday. The shootout with police, 2 state troopers wounded, the armed suspect barricaded inside his home, the gun battle erupting as police move in. Also tonight, the mystery surrounding the deaths of that couple found hanging in their home. What police have now revealed about that tonight. And the new scandal breaking in Las Vegas. The man behind one of the most famous casinos and resorts was accused of doing to female employees. Some reportedly hiding in closets and in bathrooms, all to avoid him. That story coming up. A lot more news ahead.
This building season has been Jimmy's longest. He's survived record rain and a supplier that went belly up. So while he's proud to have helped put a roof over the heads of hundreds of families, he's most proud of the one he's kept over his own.
Get the most out of your money, whether you're using QuickBooks Smart Invoicing to get paid twice as fast or automatically tracking your mileage. Smarter business tools for the world's hardest workers.